Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the week that was in pro wrestling. So that's going to be, for today, Monday Night Raw and NWA Power. Reason I'm not covering AEW Dynamite is because that would just be nuts. I am also not planning on watching / covering SmackDown tonight, because I am going to be watching one of two sporting events for tonight. So that's either going to be Knicks Celtics Game 6 or Mets Yankees. So I'm going to leave Dynamite for Monday along with potentially Collision. We'll see. So first things first, we are going to cover Monday Night Raw. We start off with a little tribute for Sabu, late great. We then have a little video recap of last week's main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight title, and then everyone and their mama interfered. We then start with a CM Punk in-ring promo, because why not? He's saying, "I'm pissed off. I claim this place to be my home. I wanted to be back as soon as possible, but I can't shake being pissed off at two people. One, myself, because I've been down this road before, and this isn't the first time Heyman stabbed me in the back. The first time was when Heyman slammed a ladder on my head, which, man, when was that?" And he continues, "I'm also mad at Timu CM Punk, that's Seth Rollins." By the way, may I ask, what the heck does Timu mean? Like, I've seen that all over the place. Oh, he's Timu, blah, blah, blah. Like, what does that mean? Can someone explain that to me? Anyway, Punk continues. We all know how this ends, and I cannot wait to get my hands on you." So this brings out Paul Heyman. He doesn't have a microphone, but you can hear him and Punk initially jawing a little. Then Punk says into the microphone, "Choose your next words very carefully, because they could be your absolute last." Heyman doesn't leave the stage. Out comes Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, with Seth saying, "Just when you think you can't get any more selfish, you find a way to lower yourself. Heyman was your absolute best friend, and you made his life a living hell leading up to WrestleMania. And now you're trying to gaslight everybody into believing he betrayed you. And for years, he was the only one who believed in you when no one else did. But I believe you are absolute garbage, and my belief was the right one. You're the reason I'm not World Heavyweight Champion right now." And then Punk chimes in saying, "You'll never be World Champion as long as I'm upright." Seth then kind of snickers for a minute, says, "You love being on the wrong side of history. I get it. He loves to play the victim. Oh, cry me a river," which is a Jack Perry reference from Punk's last time in AEW. Not going to get all into that, but you can see it. Seth then continues, "You desperately want to die a martyr? I believe that can be arranged." He then turns to Braun Breaker, who whips his jacket off and makes a beeline to the ring, where he and Punk start a big brawl. Punk starts to fight back, but then Seth gets in the ring, making up the numbers for a 2-on-1 assault until Sami Zayn came out. But Punk was so beat up that he couldn't help, and Seth and Braun were too much for Sami Zayn. And we see Sami Zayn get taken out. Paul Heyman then goes under the ring grabs a steel chair, gets in, presents it to Seth Rollins like he did at WrestleMania. Seth was about to go for a big old chair shot when Jey Uso's music hits and he makes the save. Initially, there was a 2-on-1 assault, but then Sammy and Punk, from somewhere, I'm not 100% sure where they got these, they get back in the ring, they have steel chairs, and the heels bail. So, yeah, that was definitely a very interesting opener. We'll see where this story goes, because it's definitely getting very, very interesting. We then have a recap of the men's Intercontinental title match between Penta and Dominic Mysterio, where the finish was influenced by El Grande Americano, which leads us into this next match, where we have Penta taking on Chad Gable. But before the bell rings, out comes Pat McAfee, who rejoins commentary after his war against Gunther at Backlash. Excuse me. Yeah, this match was a whole lot of fun. Basic Lucha Libre versus ground and pound wrestling. This clash of styles works really, really well. To finish the match, Chad Gable attempts a superplex. Penta blocks it. He pushes Chad Gable off the top rope. He gets up. And Penta hits a destroyer from the middle rope to win the match. This match was absolutely fun. I'm a little sad Chad Gable had to eat another loss. But, yeah, Penta's definitely being built up as a serious contender to something. I guess we'll see that in the near future. We then get a backstage Julia and Roxanne Perez pre-recorded promo, which is very... It was a little awkward, but the message was there. With Roxanne pretty much taking the lead. Julia did speak, but she didn't speak in her native... she spoke in her native tongue, and it was a little fast for me, so I couldn't keep up with the captions. So this is just going to be Roxanne. So Roxanne pretty much says, tonight we take on the champion and a recent challenger. The division is not safe anymore. We didn't come here to make friends. Io, Rhea, we don't care about your history with one another. We are here to make our own history. And tonight we take the division by force. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. And we go backstage to the Judgment Day Clubhouse because we can't have Raw without the Judgment Day. So we see, I think it's Carlito, Finn, JD, and Roxanne talking to one another. Dom passes by and he's on his cell phone talking with Liv, saying, oh, it's Liv here on the phone. She misses me. She said good night, good morning to me, but it's nighttime. Which confuses absolutely everyone. I guess he doesn't understand time zones or time differences. So then Finn turns to JD and I believe Raquel, where he says, look, I want to talk to you. You guys almost cost me my match last week. Then JD says, whoa, Finn, you're sounding like when Damien and Rhea were first leaving, we're champions. AJ then turns to Don, saying, look, tonight I'm going to take care of EJ for you, and you can focus on something else. We then get a Backlash recap of Pat McAfee versus Gunther, which I'll admit was a match I didn't see coming. We then get the New Day on commentary, the current tag team champions. We then get an image of a match that's going to happen at Saturday night's main event. It's going to be CM Punk teaming with Sami Zayn to take on the team of Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. We then cut to one of the many locker rooms in the arena with Sami and Punk. With Sami saying something in the beginning, I didn't really catch it. He says, "Hey, we good, man?" Punk then says, "I'm having a hard time trusting anyone anymore." Sami then kind of slides in a little bit. He says, "I had a hard time trusting you at War Games. And look, we like doing things on our own, in our own ways. But Saturday night's main event, we need to be on the same page. Think about it." And then Sami leaves. We see a little, maybe not a mustache twirl, but you know what I mean. Then we go right into our next match, which is, I guess, a pseudo number one contenders match, as we have the War Raiders taking on American Made. And this match was really, really fun. I liked absolutely everyone involved. The finish comes when Eric is on the outside. He's attempting to get either Brutus or Julius back in the ring. No, it is Julius back in the ring. When Kofi comes up, gets right in his face. Ivar is coming from the other side to try to deal with Kofi. Kofi then hits Ivar right in the face. Julius gets Eric back in the ring. Tags in Brutus, who hits the Brutus ball to pick up the win for his team. Now, this is some light interference from New Day, but I'm going to say this made sense to me. Storyline-wise, if you're New Day, you don't want War Raiders getting back their tag titles, so they're going to do everything in their power to block that. Which makes sense. Then we see an interesting little view. It's one of the, not really suites, but I guess it's Seth's locker room, maybe. But it's kind of set up like what the Bloodline locker room was in its heyday. So you see a close-up on Seth. Camera pans out. You see Braun sitting in a chair right next to Seth. And then Paul kind of right in the back, kind of hovering over Seth. So Seth says to Braun, they probably think they got one over on us. They think they got us backed against the wall. Then they're going to realize they underestimated you. They have no idea what I'm capable of. And then as Braun is starting to get up, he says, Braun, one more thing. I got one more thing to say to you. Cups his hand over his mouth, whispers something to Braun Breaker, then lifts it away, says, go on and have some fun. So, yeah, that's an interesting, ominous thing that's happening soon. We then see Jey Uso talking with GM Adam Pearce backstage. And he's making his way out to the ring. We then see some footage of Logan Paul attacking Jey Uso as Raw last week was going off air after his world title match. Then we see, added to the Saturday night's main event card, we got Jey Uso defending his world heavyweight title against Logan Paul, in which, gag me with a spoon, I don't want to see that. So, then we get Jey Uso promo, but before that happens, we see an interesting little interaction in the while Jey is making his entrance. While he's up in the crowd, yeeting his head off, which I absolutely love. He sees this little boy this little kid, I'm sorry, just standing there. He looks happy to see him. Jay then beelines it over to the kid, puts him up on his shoulders, and they just start yeeting together. Which, moments like that make me smile. Like, it's kind of an off-the-script thing, which I am always for. So then Jey Uso finally makes it to the ring. Crowd goes, one more time. So they do the yeeting again, one more time. So Jey Uso finally gets a microphone, says, I got a lot going on today. I'm getting on big back. I don't know what that means, but then he says, Logan Paul, I'm talking outside side of the neck. You're going to keep on cheap shotting me. Saturday night's main event, it's you versus me for the world title. And I promise you this, I'm going to be walking out still the world. And as that last word trails off, out comes someone kind of unexpected, but kind of usual too. It's the former World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. He gets in the ring, he grabs a microphone, says, the unimaginable has come true. Jey Uso is the World Heavyweight Champion. And for the first time, this is the first time we've met since the moment you won. Jay then chimes in saying, the moment I made you tap out, then the you tapped out chants start, which I always enjoy. Gunther then kind of gets a little half-assed smile on his face. Says, I understand what you're doing here. 80% of my time here in the WWE, I have been champion. And just because I understand doesn't mean I change my mind about you. You are not a natural champion. And I have also seen you haven't spread the news. So Jay is like, all right, you tell him. So Gunther says, the winner of you versus Logan Paul at Saturday night's main event face me in 2 weeks, I want to say. Maybe it's the week after. And Jay, in 1 month in Phoenix, I challenge the winner of you versus Logan Paul for the World Heavyweight title. So we got our next challenger. Gunther continues, I really hope it is you. I would love for nothing more than to shut you up and remind you where your place is. Ooh, fighting words. Jey Uso retorts, my place? I'm in my place. He slings the world title over his shoulder, says, if we're going to go run it back, I'm still going to walk out World Heavyweight Champion. So, yeah, nice little promo battle between the former and current champions. Can't wait for that rematch, because that first match wasn't bad. And we get an Io Sky video promo. I'm sorry, I did not get a single note, because A, she's speaking in her foreign language, and B, she talks way too quickly. And then we get something kind of nice. We go to the commentary table where Michael Cole and Pat McAfee are talking about Sabu. And then just as they're finishing up, they all put up their ones. Not to acknowledge any tribal chief, but because Sabu did this during his entrance. And it was such a nice moment. I love shit like that. So then we go backstage for what was supposed to be a Ludwig Kaiser interview. Before he can get a word out, we hear a commotion. off screen. So the cameraman and the interviewer go running as we see Braun Breaker has laid out Jey Uso. Some officials come in to tend to Jey and to back off Braun. Then I did see Sami Zayn walk up. I did not see Punk. It kind of felt like Punk just spawned out of nowhere, which was weird. So next up, we got the Battle of the Bullet Club, which is a crew in New Japan Pro Wrestling that Finn Balor himself actually started. AJ would later join up after Finn left, if that makes any sense. And this match was so dang good. Like, these two have some great chemistry together. I don't remember the last time these two had a match, but holy heck, they brought it. Eventually, we get the regular Judgment Day shenanigans, but Penta comes out, makes the save, takes out the Judgment Day, including a destroyer to Carlito, which frees up AJ to hit the phenomenal forearm and pick up the win. Yeah, definitely good to see AJ getting a win. I do wish they would take Finn a bit more seriously because he is a former world champion, but it is what it is. We then get another Backlash recap of the Women's Intercontinental title with Becky and Lyra. We then get a Becky Lynch promo, which, yeah, this one was great. Where she said, I wasn't clearly beaten on Saturday. Don't believe me. One of us was taken to the hospital. The other went home and had a party. And even after everything Lyra has done, I still made her the best version of herself. And now she and the Women's Intercontinental title never mattered more than she does right now. But when the bell rang after the match, I didn't hear defeat, I heard an alarm. And I am done being manipulated by all of you. I hate this turned into a You People promo. That is so dumb. Alright, Becky continues. You asked me to walk away the last time I won the women's title. I saw the reaction online. And I have always been for the people. You all carried me to the main event of WrestleMania, and then something happens. After I won, you all turned on me. All you know is failure, and you hate what you don't understand. I was asked in an interview recently, do you miss getting in the ring? I do miss the ring. But I like myself way more. And I wasn't going to be captured by you again. I didn't have to listen to your lies anymore and spin my wheels to prove myself. Now I'm whatever you say I am. And everyone in the back happy I was gone, realizing what it's going to be held down by the man. What a finish to this promo. The start to it, absolutely great. The middle, where it turned into a You People promo, could live without. That finish, that was the dagger. Oh, that was so good. Then we go to a Rusev pre-recorded promo in which he didn't really say anything new. Basically saying, my brothers, I didn't want to win like this. I wanted to just go home and give you it all until you woke up. You think these people care? Last week, Tozawa stepped up. You still seek approval? They kept mocking me. It will hurt me to watch you fall. I'd rather fall into the abyss. Then we see Tozawa, along with the rest of American Made, in Adam Pearce's office, with Tozawa asking for a match with Rusev. In walks Sheamus, in which it's good to see him back, where he says, "Hey, go get him." So Alpha Academy walk off. He says to Pierce, "I need to shake off a little ring rust. So next week, I want me versus Waller." So Pierce kind of smiles a little bit, says, "Consider it official." Sounds like a banger. We then get a Raw card rundown for next week, and it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. And then, kind of announced in a graphic, we are going to get our first batch of Money in the Bank qualifying matches starting tonight on SmackDown, which, I mean, I wish there was a little bit more to it. Anyway, so last but not least, we got our main event. We got the NXT duo of Julia and Roxanne Perez taking on Rhea Bloody Ripley and the Women's World Champion Io Sky. And these four, whoo, the chemistry is there. They looked like they wanted to kick the you-know-what out of one another. And they absolutely did. One point near the end of the match, Roxanne attempted to pop rocks on Rhea. That got blocked. Rhea then used Io as a battering ram, which was wild. Io then was tripped off the apron. Roxanne with a superplex into a suplex for a 2 count. Rhea then with a big drop kick and a knee combination. The other women get in and they just start beating the heck out of each other. Julia went for a stomp. That missed. Roxanne then attempted a crossbody into Rhea. Rhea moves and she hit Julia. Rhea then with a headbutt and a riptide to finish the match and win it for her and Io Sky. Then as they're celebrating, Io is holding up the women's world title. Rhea comes in and kind of latches onto the strap and they stare each other down. So that rivalry isn't over. And yeah, that was definitely a good match. And for everyone on the internet saying, "Oh, Julia and Roxanne are buried, blah, blah, blah." They're not buried. One loss on the main roster doesn't mean you're buried. Okay? Akira Tozawa, he's buried. Otis, definitely. But Julia and Roxanne, one loss does not equal buried. Okay? Get your head out of your butt. So that was Monday Night Raw. Definitely a bit of a step up from last week, or the last time I saw Raw. So yeah, that was definitely a very fun time. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to see next week. But before that, we go to NWA Power, and we start off with the Women's World title on the line, as Kenzie Page defends against NWA newcomers Amber Nova, who, if correct me if I'm wrong, was married to Luke Gallows at one point, and Carolina Cruz. And early on we see Cruz and Nova teaming up to try to take out Kenzie Page early on. Eventually they do turn on one another with some big strikes, a bit of a shoulder tackle too. Big old dropkick from Nova, which only gets her a 2 count. Goes for the put stop, which is a very interesting finisher. Only gets a 1. Kenzie gets back in the ring, hits a DDT on Cruz, a Kenzie cutter on Nova to pick up the win. So, yeah, nice little quick opening matchup. I do wish these women got a little bit more time, because I am not super familiar with Cruz or Nova, but either way, it was definitely a fun open. We then get an Aaron Stevens promo, kind of. Like, it's definitely another pre-recorded promo where he's like, it looks like he's in some theater of some kind. And then we got some chime in from William Patrick Corgan, where he talks about his own history. Saying, I endeared myself to the audience of the NWA. I wouldn't have had a career without you. I was born to parents. I haven't spoken to them in a while, but they understand how I have a life. And I give them a check every month, but I will always be their son. Then this is where William Patrick Corgan comes in which I was not expecting this. So he says, no one in the world is more responsible for the terror here in the NWA more than Aaron Stevens. Then Stevens continues, one thing I always wanted was to be a jockey since I was little. Then it turns back to Corgan, who says, I am the one who signs his checks, but I'm still scared of him. I am a businessman after all. Aaron has been with the NWA since the start. Then Stevens continues with his dreams as a kid, saying, I wasn't able to ride the horse, so I fell into wrestling. Then it goes back to Corgan, who says, NWA wouldn't have been better without Stevens. And then that's kind of where it cuts off. This was a very awkward, kind of clunky, weird promo too. Like, I expected this kind of thing from EC3, but it's Aaron Stevens of all people. He's usually very articulate. Anyway, then we get a Brian Idol campaign video. Nothing really new to say there. Then we got the NWA Tag Team titles on the line as Knox and Murdoch take on the Slime Balls. As we got Murdoch and Rant starting it off. Rant then hawks a booger at Murdoch. Murdoch just pretty much murders him with a clothesline. It's a full Nelson slam. Big old elbow drop. Couple of chops. Tags in Mike Knox, who gets some chops in of his own. Rant then gets in a headbutt. Knox with some strikes. Hits a body slam. Tags in Murdoch for a big splash. Rant then kind of slaps the taste out of Mike Knox's mouth for a minute. Goes for his body slam, but that gets blocked. Rant then tags in Chance, who hits a drop kick. Murdoch then kind of shrugs it off, hits a big old spine buster, and then a sky high to pick up the win for Knox and Murdoch. Now, at that point, Knox and Murdoch are celebrating in the ring. The Slime Balls are on the ramp, where Sage gets a microphone, and he's on Rant's shoulders, and he says, hey jerks, we got 2 title matches if you remember. That was only the first one. You already got the guts? Let's go. So, Slime Balls get back in the ring, and we have match 2 of this series, which, honestly, that's very funny. If you don't know, a couple weeks ago, it was supposed to be the Slime Balls versus Knox and Murdoch, but that match didn't take place because Murdoch had some travel obligations. So Knox challenged one of the Slime Balls to, both of the Slime Balls to a handicap match, in which if they won, they would be given 2 title matches. So the first time around they didn't win, but then Slime Balls challenged Murdoch again, picked up a surprise win, and got the double title match. So this is where this match comes in. So we got match 2 of the NWA Tag Team title match. We got Slime Balls versus Nox and Murdoch. We start off with Rant again, who is the powerhouse of the team. But this time it starts with Nox. And Rant is throwing big bombs up at Mike Knox. Eventually takes him down. Hits an elbow drop. But then Knox just starts choking Rant. Rant then hits a jawbreaker. Tags in Chance, in which Knox backdrops him to the freaking mat. Tags in Murdoch, hits a headbutt, a suplex, hits a couple of shoulders in the corner, couple of strikes, big knee, another suplex, only for 2. Murdoch then hits a big suplex, tags in Knox. They hit the high-low. And then the bell rings for whatever reason. So, and then this confuses the announcers. So the ring announcer says, your winners via disqualification, the Slime Balls. But still your World Tag Team Champions, Nox and Murdoch. Now, from what I understand, I guess Nox and Murdoch took a little bit too much time in the ring together. Because those should be timed intervals in which who's in and who's out when you tag. So, yeah, technically the Slime Balls got a win over Nox and Murdoch again. So it does seem like we are getting a rematch somewhere down the line. We then get another Pastor CeeLo campaign video, which I do like. Then we get an NWA Territory President update where we show the polls where looks like Kazana's in the lead, which that's interesting. So yeah, definitely some interesting going on. Then we get this kind of weird little match as we got the debuting Nick Swift, who is definitely a very cruiserweight level guy, taking on Boss, who is definitely more of a powerhouse. Early on, Boss does use his power to overpower Nick, but Swift does get some stuff in, including a dropkick and an impressive bulldog, but only for a 2 count. He does lock in a sleeper, but Boss powers out, hitting a couple of strikes. Goes for a leg sweep, but that gets blocked. And then Swift with a big kick right to the knee. Swift whiffs on a drop kick. Boz with a couple of kicks, a clothesline, and then a cutter to pick up the win. So, yeah, nice, interesting little non-title thing to cleanse the palate a little bit. Then we get the Joe Kazana campaign video, which I do appreciate that one a lot. Then we get an Around the Territory segment, which I always enjoy that, seeing what NWA territories are doing for a show. Then we get our main event of the evening, and it's for the Women's TV title. I honestly forgot this existed. Like, for real, I forgot this title existed, as we got champion Big Mama, and yes, that is her name, taking on Tiffany Nieves. And Big Mama, for at least a little bit, definitely overpowers Tiffany Nieves. Nieves then locks in a sleeper, but Big Mama attempts to power out, but Tiffany hangs on. Eventually, she does get out. after a roll-up, only for a 2. Then Tiffany with a cross chop to the neck, which that looked... oof. Then Big Mama with a handful of hair, tossing Tiffany to the side. Tiffany then with a leg neck snap. Big Mama attempts a choke slam. Tiffany counters it with a drop kick, in which that was crazy. Tiffany then locks in another sleeper hold. Big Mama starts to fade. Eventually she gets a backdrop. That's when we go to an ad, which I do not like that in the middle of a match. Although it's pretty much just the Kenzie Page campaign video. Then we get a couple chokes by Tiffany, going for pins. She hits another neck snap, only for 2. Tiffany attempts a crossbody that gets caught into a body slam. Big Mama attempts a leg drop that misses. Tiffany with a knee drop. Goes for it again, misses. Tiffany then locks in the Royal C, which is STF. And your winner, the new NWA Women's Television Champion, Tiffany Nieves. And then we finish up with the continuation of the Aaron Stevens promo, where he says, "When you're talented as I am, one personality isn't enough. And I know some of you can't grasp that, but some were just born better." Then we hear from, guys like Jeremiah Plunkett, Rant of the Slimeballs, couple other people from the NWA roster, where they rank Stevens as a manager, which that was very weird. It then comes back to Aaron Stevens, who says, "I'm blessed with all these things, and I just want to help others. When all's said and done, one word should be associated with Stevens is hope." And that's when the Power ends. Definitely a very weird episode of Power. Matches were really good, although I do wish the first one got a little bit more time. The women's title match. But everything definitely felt like it had a purpose on this evening. And that's what I appreciate about the NWA. So, that is it from Little Old Me. I hope you all enjoyed. Coming Monday, gonna be covering AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. Yeah, little double dose of AEW. And then, I think next Wednesday, I think that's when Saturday night's main event is. I'm going to be doing my predictions for that show. Hopefully we'll have more of the card revealed. Otherwise, until then, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.